Picture two driveways on the exact same suburban cul-de-sac. In the first driveway, there's a brand new leased BMW X5. It's spotless, washed every single Saturday. In the second driveway, there's a 2018 Toyota Camry with a dent in the rear bumper that nobody has ever bothered to fix. Now, let's meet the owners. Brandon owns the BMW. He's 42, a successful dermatologist pulling in $280,000 a year. But every third Sunday at 11 p.m., he's frantically logging into his banking app, transferring money from savings to checking just so his kid's private school tuition check doesn't bounce. His net worth? Barely $210,000, mostly tied up in his house. Diane owns the dented Camry. She's 58, owns a mid-sized heating and air conditioning business, and makes a modest $95,000 a year. Last month, she wrote a check for her nephew's college tuition in full. She didn't have to check her bank app first. Her net worth? A cool $1.4 million. If you went to their neighborhood block party, every single person there would assume Brandon is the wealthy one. Hell, Brandon assumes he's the wealthy one. But the math tells a brutal, entirely different story. This is not a script about being cheap. I'm not here to tell you to stop buying lattes and start reusing your paper towels. This is about what your stuff tells people, what it costs you, and the most expensive lie in American life. The idea that looking rich and being rich are the exact same thing. Spoiler alert, they aren't. In fact, they are often total opposites. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking apart the mechanics of wealth, status, and the invisible trap of modern consumerism. We're going to look at the psychology of why we buy things we don't need to impress people we don't even like. Grab a notepad. We're going to fundamentally rewrite the way you look at money. Let's start with a number that completely reframes reality. The late author Thomas Stanley spent decades studying actual, verified American millionaires for his famous book, The Millionaire Next Door. Do you know what he found? The typical millionaire spends about 1% of their net worth on the car they drive. The typical American buyer? They spend closer to 30%. Same parking lot, same chunk of metal and glass, but 30 times the financial bite. And the funniest part about this is the brands. When Stanley published his research in 1996, the most common car driven by millionaires was a Ford. When his daughter redid the study in 2018, surveying 600 millionaires with a median net worth of $3.5 million, the top brand was Toyota, followed by Honda. The ultimate badge of American wealth is, functionally, the absence of a badge. Now, I want to kill a myth right here. It is not true that rich people only buy used, beat-up cars. They just buy quality, keep it for a decade, and completely refuse to let their car be a percentage of their identity instead of just a percentage of their assets. Let's talk about the looking rich tax. Right now, the average new car payment in America is hovering around $770 a month, stretched across nearly 6 years. Almost 20% of new car loans carry a payment of over $1,000 a month. And here's the twist. A huge chunk of those $1,000 a month payments aren't even for Ferraris or Mercedes. They are for Ford F-150s, Chevy Silverados, and Dodge Rams that have never towed anything heavier than a Christmas tree. Underneath all this metal and leather is the quietest wealth destroyer in the country: depreciation. An average new car loses about 45% of its value in 5 years. A BMW 7 Series? It loses 67%. That's roughly $65,000 vanishing into thin air. If you break that down, you're essentially paying a parking meter $36 a day to simply exist in your garage. You pay it when you're sleeping, you pay it when you're on vacation. You are spending money to lose money faster. The more expensive the status signal, the faster it decays. Diane, with her dented 2018 Camry, she bought it after the expensive part of its life was over. She let someone else pay the $36 a day meter. That's not frugality as a personality trait. That's just being smart at math.
So, if the math is so terrible, why do we all do it?
This is where it gets fascinating. We have to go back to 1899 when an economist named Thorstein Veblen coined a phrase you've probably heard: conspicuous consumption. His argument was blunt. In a society organized around money, status doesn't come from simply having resources. It comes from visibly wasting them. The reputational value is in the waste itself. Think about it. If a Rolex just told the time better than a $15 Casio, it wouldn't be a status symbol. It has to be unnecessarily expensive, a little bit stupid even, for it to work as a signal. It's like a peacock dragging around a massive, heavy, bright tail. That tail makes it slower and easier for predators to eat it, but it signals to mates, "Look how strong I am. I can survive even with this ridiculous handicap." A $1,000 car payment is the human version of a peacock tail. This behavior trickles down through what economists call expenditure cascades. When the ultra-rich buy mega mansions, the upper middle class feels their houses are too small, so they upgrade. Then the middle class feels inadequate and upgrades. The frame gets shoved downward until you have regular guys making $70,000 a year feeling embarrassed at a wedding because they drive an older sedan. Nobody is an idiot here. They're just casualties of a status economy that spends billions of dollars advertising to keep the goalposts moving. But here's the ultimate joke. In the year 2000, a psychologist named Kamis Gilovich did a study. He made college students wear an embarrassing, ugly t-shirt into a room full of their peers. Then he asked the students to guess how many people noticed the shirt. They guessed 50%. The real number? 23%. He called this the spotlight effect. You are dramatically overestimating how much anyone is looking at you. You are paying $770 a month for 72 months to impress an audience that's paying half the attention you think they are, mostly because they're too busy worrying about what you think of their truck. Now, recently, the game evolved. Around 2023, the culture decided that massive Gucci logos and loud Louis Vuitton patterns were tacky. The internet invented a new trend: quiet luxury or stealth wealth. What happened next is the purest, most ironic thing capitalism has ever done. Quiet luxury, a philosophy originally built around not signaling wealth, instantly became a massively expensive product category. It's $2,000 Loro Piana cashmere and $500 blank baseball caps from the Row. The proposition is that it has no logo, so only the right people will recognize it. It's a secret handshake that costs you 30 grand, and it only works on people who also have 30 grand. At the same time, the lending industry got way better at hiding our lack of funds. Enter buy now, pay later. Nearly 60% of people using services like Klarna or Afterpay admit they use it to buy things they couldn't otherwise afford. It doesn't sell you a $200 jacket, it sells you the appearance of someone who can casually absorb the cost of a $200 jacket. This brings us to a terrifying modern epidemic: money dysmorphia. Recent studies show that 29% of Americans and a staggering 43% of Gen Z report having a distorted negative read on their own finances. Here's the kicker. A massive chunk of these young people actually have over $10,000 saved. They are mathematically doing great. They aren't behind. They just spend hours a day inside social media feeds that are literally engineered to make them feel behind. And let me be clear, a higher income does not cure this. Almost 48% of people earning over $100,000 say they live paycheck to paycheck. More than a third of people making $200,000 a year say the same thing. A big income doesn't automatically produce wealth. A big income simply produces the option to build wealth, and most people immediately trade that option in for something with heated seats and a sunroof. Look at professional athletes. The old stat that 78% of NFL players go bankrupt isn't exactly true, but the real data is still horrifying. Nearly 16% of NFL players file for bankruptcy within 12 years of retiring, and the rate of bankruptcy is completely unrelated to how much they actually earned. More money didn't protect anyone because their lifestyle was always scaled up to match their best year, and it never scaled back down. So, how do we actually fix this? How do we stop playing a rigged game and actually build real, generational wealth? I have to acknowledge something first. Appearances do matter in the real world. Studies show there is an earnings penalty for not looking put together. If you manage people or negotiate deals, looking presentable is income-producing. But looking presentable is cheap. A tailored $40 button-down shirt beats an untailored $400 designer shirt every single time. No boss has ever given someone a promotion because of the badge on the hood of their car. If you are a high earner or even a moderate earner, the most useful number in your personal finance toolkit is not your salary. It is your savings rate. Your savings rate does two incredible jobs at exactly the same time. First, it raises how fast you accumulate money. Second, it lowers the total amount of money you actually need to survive in the future. Let's price the trade. The gap between an average new car payment of $770 and a solid, paid-off older car, let's say you squirrel away $300 a month for maintenance and a replacement fund, is $470 a month. That is roughly one nice dinner out a week. If you take that $470 a month and invest it in an S&P 500 index fund at an average 7% return, after 10 years, you have about $81,000. After 20 years, you have $245,000. After 30 years, you have somewhere around $570,000. That is one lifestyle decision made repeatedly by the same person on the same income. Look back at our two driveways. Diane didn't inherit a trust fund. She didn't pick the next Apple or Tesla stock before it blew up. She just refused to convert her raises into visible, depreciating objects. Consumption and compounding are the exact same dollars facing in opposite directions. Every single month, you choose which way those dollars point. Warren Buffett bought a 5-bedroom house in Omaha in 1958 for $31,500. He still lives in it today. He is one of the richest men in human history, and nobody passing him in a grocery store would guess he's a billionaire based on his clothes or his car. Wealth is what you don't see. That is not a metaphor. It is a literal definition. Your net worth is made entirely of the things you didn't convert into physical objects. It is the money that is permanently invisible in a brokerage account. Therefore, anybody who looks incredibly wealthy is showing you the exact portion of their wealth they just gave up. So, what do you do with this on a random Tuesday? Rule number 1, buy the 3-year-old car. Drive it for 10 years. Let someone else take the 45% depreciation hit. Rule number 2, hide your raises from yourself. When you get a bump in pay, let your savings rate absorb it before your lifestyle ever finds out it happened. If you can push your savings rate from 10% to 20%, you don't just save 10% more. You effectively cut over a decade off of your mandatory working life. You buy back 10 years of your freedom. Rule number 3, stop participating in the secret handshakes. Realize that the people you are trying to impress in traffic or at the country club are trapped in their own spotlight effect. They aren't looking at your dented Camry. They're stressing out about their own $1,000 truck payment. The question isn't, can I afford the monthly payment? Financing companies will almost always tell you yes. The question you need to ask yourself in the showroom is, who am I buying this for, and are they actually looking? The data proves it. They aren't looking. They're at home at 11 p.m. moving money between 2 checking accounts, desperately hoping nobody notices they're broke. Be the boring person on the street with the dented Camry and the 7-figure brokerage account. It is a wildly underrated way to live, because true wealth isn't loud. It's quiet, it's peaceful, and most importantly, it's entirely yours. Thank you for watching. If this video shifted your perspective even a little bit, hit the like button and subscribe so we can keep building real wealth together. See you in the next one. Stay wealthy, stay invisible.